One of my favorite aspects of Guild Wars 2 has always been large-scale meta events. There's something special to me about being part of a mass collective effort with random people who happened to want to participate at that exact moment too. I wanted to share with you some of my favorite meta events that best showcase how incredible of a job ArenaNet can do at designing Guild Wars 2 meta events and why I love some of them. I could never forget this meta event, one of the earliest, most iconic events to me, Tequatl the Sunless. I originally tackled him in the base game, but later had to relearn how to take him down after he got a massive upgrade in a 2013 update. Today, it mostly stands as a nostalgic part of my daily routines and a stark display of how far my and everyone else's power has creeped up over the years. I pretty much have to fall asleep to die here these days. Despite this, every time I come here, there's always loads of people here, including a guild that always seems to show up with full Choya tonics on, always seeking out spoons and being hilarious. I love Tequatl's entrance, bouncing off the mountain, the little Quaggan who screams out, "There's something in the water, help!" and the nostalgia all of it gives me. But far away from the sunny, rot-infested coast of Sparkfly Fen, I'm headed up to Bjora Marches next for Storms of Winter. Icebrood Saga had some absolute banger meta events, though out of all of them, this one may surprise you the most to be on this list, but I really like it. I still remember the first time this event popped up when I was in Bjora Marches. Realizing I was getting frozen up due to the storm and I had to do something about it, I headed back just as the defenses were getting finished up. Realizing I could use the arrow carts and other things people had already built up was really cool. Then, holding off waves of Jormag's minions, trying not to get frozen, but not having the Raven Mastery yet to use the smaller shrines that can protect me from the blizzard was wild, and I definitely got caught lacking a few times. Then, after we defended the shrines, realizing I had to go even further away from safety for a counterattack was stressful. After all 3 counterattacks were finished, I figured we were done, but nope. The best part came stomping in as a massive ice elemental charged the keep. I had no idea what we were doing with the chains, so I completely missed the fact that the group had chained the elemental to the cliff until suddenly his legs got ripped off and we fought a giant elemental torso on the ground to finish off the event. But then suddenly everyone just started heading north with no explanation, and I followed them lemming style to take out the champions in the area that cleared out from the blizzard, only to realize I couldn't get any loot really because I didn't have the masteries required to open up the chests. This event was a roller coaster, but it does an amazing job of blending a lot of different elements into one epic battle, from construction all the way to combat, and one of the rare events that has an overall weather-based mechanic to it, adding to the immersion here. But as amazing as Storms of Winter was, I was not at all expecting how truly epic Assault on the Frost Citadel would be later on in Icebrood Saga. Now, Drizzlewood Coast, where this event is located, was an amazing time the first time through it. A PvE story-based version of World vs. World was an absolute blast. So much so that it may still be my single favorite map of all of Guild Wars 2. But Assault on the Frost Citadel itself is a masterpiece in blending mechanics and storytelling. It took me probably an hour to an hour and a half my first time through, battling through all kinds of traitor united legions of the Char, beating them back into their citadel in the name of the Iron Legion. All the while blowing up bases, shooting down charcopters, neutralizing leaders, and building the cannons to take down the gates of the Citadel, taking down the Guardian Elemental, and finally storming through the gate, only to realize the Phalanx guards had to be crowd controlled to get past them. It was such a cool mechanic to me. Finally, we get through the Phalanxes, only to be met with an absolute giant of a tank, the Ruinbringer, looking more like a sandcrawler out of Star Wars than an actual tank. I also found out the hard way that it instantly crushes you if you stand in front of it. Oops. After all of that and more, I finally make it out of the Citadel as it falls down all around us, thinking we've finished off the Frost Legion, waiting for my chests, only to get attacked by that blasted claw of Jormag that I've been fighting for close to a decade at that point. We build more cannons and get it shot down, diving into a crater it lands in to finally put an end to it, getting a ton of loot in the process, as I rightly should after all of that. Even without my personal attachment to my char I've had since launch, this meta event is an absolute blast. I think it stands as one of ArenaNet's peak moments of open world PvE and meta event design. It showcases fun mechanics from the iconic world versus world mode in a PvE setting, has great open world storytelling, a variety of events to it, and great loot on top of it all. I think ArenaNet would serve themselves very well to look at the way they developed this when they're designing the upcoming raid convergence story mission combo for Janthier Wilds, especially when it comes to the storytelling aspect. But as impressive as the Claw of Jormag finale in the Assault on the Frost Citadel was, it was outshined by Su-Wan in the next expansion's Battle for the Jade Sea. Guild Wars 2's Dragon Cycle storyline spanned the core game, 4 Living World seasons, and 3 expansions, yet there could only be one finale to it, and this meta event served as the perfect send-off. Coming into the Jade Sea was incredible on its own, with a really unique map design to it, with half the map being a literal sea of Jadestone. It's so cool. Running around doing the dynamic events, I realized not only was I preparing the map for the upcoming meta event with progress, I was also buffing myself with a stacking buff. As the event started, I grouped up with everyone and we split into 3 different lanes, each escorting notable NPCs as we fought our way through void-corrupted dragon minions, cleared out salt-spray dragon lieutenants, and destroyed corruption dragon champions to secure the immediate area around the Harvest Temple. As I surfed up the zip lines up to the top of the Harvest Temple with the rest of the heroes of Tyria to face off with Su-Wan, I realized airships surrounded us on all sides, one of them even becoming an orbiting respawn beacon for the fight. This was so cool. As we discussed strategy, Su-Wan appeared and her opening salvo took down at least 10 people with an unblockable attack. And I realized then just how crazy this was gonna get. She confused people with side-switching mechanics, took people out of the fight with crowd control bubbles or whirlpools that we had to save them from. She further confused people by summoning a tail that had its own health, and nobody could decide if the group should stay on her head, which was taking less damage, or go to the tail to take it out temporarily so that the head would take full damage. It was utter chaos as most players new to the fight, including myself, were suddenly thrust into raid-level mechanics that hadn't really been showcased to this degree in an open-world meta event ever before. While we lost the first few times I tried it, I was eventually part of a group that got a shoestring victory with less than 20 seconds left on the timer before we all wiped, and it was glorious. It was a great conclusion to the Dragon Cycle storyline. Su-Wan showcases that ArenaNet can integrate new mechanics like siege turtles in fun and useful ways that don't feel forced for no reason, like in the Giyala Delve meta event. It also encourages playing the map before the actual meta, since it'll be easier if you have the full buff. It also shows that Guild Wars 2 metas can be turned up a little bit more than the average, and the community will eventually rise to the occasion. All in all, it's an amazing event, though it does take a considerable time investment. Now, my final, most favorite meta event is also an Icebrood Saga event, but it doesn't have raid level mechanics. It doesn't require a massive time investment. It doesn't even have the best rewards in the game. But the first time I played this event was hilarious, amazing, and chaotic, and I haven't lost that feeling no matter how many times I've done it. In Grothmar Valley, I stumble into the next scheduled meta event and am greeted with an honest-to-God in-world metal band of all char called Metal Legion. I haven't seen something like this since I played World of Warcraft and found level 80 Elite Tauren Chieftain in the Blackrock Depths, back in Wrath of the Lich King, playing a concert in a tavern. As the event moved on, it was sheer chaos and hilarity. I joined in mosh pits, replaced backup dancers, and caught crowd surfers. I fought to keep the band safe from crazed fans and sparking elementals. As Metal Legion works their way through 3 metal songs with lore from the game as lyrics, I thought to myself, this is the kind of thing we need more often in video games. It's not the most mechanically superior, it doesn't have the top tier loot you can get, but it's hilarious, knocking on the fourth wall level of fun, not taking itself too seriously. It honestly reminded me of some of the other silly events I've done over the years, like the char that's catapulting cows. I don't think everything has to push the envelope or be profoundly deep. Sometimes I just want to rock out with some fellow players and jump in the mosh pit after setting off some fireworks at a metal concert in a video game. But if you enjoyed what I had to say about these meta events, you'll love binge watching this playlist of challenges where I blind play one profession a month, most recently Thief, that I've barely ever played in Guild Wars 2, sharing my thoughts and stories from the month. It's been a great way for me to get more into the game and out of my gameplay comfort zone.